Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to learn a very important topic in basic electrical engineering, that is a batteries. Batteries play a very important role in our daily life. We use batteries in mobile phones, laptops, UPS systems, electric vehicles, solar power systems, and many other applications. In this lecture, we will discuss the definition of battery. We will discuss about the definition of battery. Definition, types of batteries, construction and working principles of batteries, construction and working batteries, and their characteristics. Today we will discuss about the definition, types of batteries, and construction and working of batteries and characteristics. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the definition of battery. Battery is an electrochemical device that converts chemical energy into electrical energy. Basically, battery is a electrochemical device that converts chemical energy into chemical energy into electrical energy. So battery consists of one or more cells connected together to supply the required voltage and currents. So the basic components. Now we will discuss about the basic components of batteries. So we know that the basic definition is a battery is an electrochemical device which converts chemical energy into electrical energy. So in this we are going to represent as it consists of one or more cells, right? So in this we are going to connect it together, then supply to require the voltage and currents. Now we will discuss about these basic components of a batteries. So every battery mainly consists of 5 parts. So in that we are going to represent that parts are, first one is anode, second one is cathode, third one is electrolyte, then fourth one we are going to represent it, that is a separator, and the fifth one is container. So this anode is represented as a negative terminal. It acts as a negative terminal, and the cathode acts as a positive terminal, and the electrolyte, it helps in ions moves. For the movement of ions, it will help by using of electrolyte. Then the separator is to use the prevents a short circuits. Prevents short circuit. And the lastly we are going to represent as a container. So it container so holds all components safely. Holds all components safely. So we know the basic definition, then types of battery, then coming to the classification of batteries. Classification of batteries. So batteries are mainly classified into two types, that is primary battery and the secondary battery. It's classified into two types, that is a primary battery and the second one is secondary battery. So primary batteries are non-rechargeable batteries. Primary batteries are non-rechargeable batteries. Non-rechargeable batteries. So once they are discharged, they can't be used again. So once we are going to charging and it will discharge, can't be used again. For the examples of these primary batteries are dry cells and alkaline batteries. Examples are dry cells and the second one is alkaline battery. So basically these primary batteries are used in remote controls to control the remote, used in remote controls, toys and clocks. So in this we are going to use these particular appliances, we are going to use that is the primary batteries. Now coming to the secondary battery. So previously we discussed about the primary battery and in that primary batteries are non-rechargeable batteries. Once they are discharged, they can't be used again, right? So now we discussed about the secondary batteries. So these secondary batteries are rechargeable batteries. The secondary batteries are rechargeable batteries. They can be charged and discharged many times. We can charge and discharge many times. So coming to the examples of these secondary batteries are lead acid battery, lithium ion battery, nickel metal hydride battery. These are the examples of secondary batteries. So we are going to use these secondary batteries are for the UPS systems, inverters, mobile phones, and nowadays we are going to use the most of people, we are going to use it. This is electrical vehicles. We are going to use that batteries are secondary batteries. Until now, we know that the primary and secondary batteries. So in that we discussed actually batteries. It is a electrochemical device which converts chemical energy into electrical energy. So in this mainly we are discussed about the five parts in that the cathode, anode, electrolyte components and separator, and that is a container, right? So in this we are going to discuss in individually. Before we are going to discuss an individually classification of batteries, so we should know the working of a battery. So I'm not going to discuss individually of primary and secondary batteries. First of all, we are going to discuss about the working of batteries. So how it will work, we will discuss now. So basically, battery is a electronic device that generates electric energy from chemical reaction where two electrodes involves as a main part of reaction. So basically already we discussed about that is anode and cathode. So one is called the main parts of a reaction that we are going to represent as anode and cathode. So one is called anode and other one is called as a cathode, and they are separated by an electrolyte chemical component. So when an external circuit is connected to the cathode and anode, let us consider here I am going to represent the battery. So in this I will represent the anode. So it has anode, it acts as a negative pole, and the cathode the positive poles. Right. So in this we are going to connect the load. Here I am going to connect the load is a bulb. So this medium we are going to represent as a electrolyte. Electrolyte components. So basically we know that the cathode is a positively charged electrode. During a chemical reaction it gains electrons which is called a reduction, right? So for the anode are a negative charge, this is anode, here this is a cathode. So cathode is a positive charged electrode and the anode is a negative charged electrode. So due to the chemical reaction, it loses the electrons, which is called an oxidation reaction. So based on that, we are going to represent as in between the main part of this electrolyte is moves, the ions are moves from one place to another place. Otherwise, we are going to represent as from anode to cathode. So based on that, we are going to represent as these electrolyte components are generally chemical substance that are used to enhance or allow the flow of ions from the cathode to anode, from the cathode to anode, or and anode to cathode. So it allows this electrolyte component is allows to flow the ions from the cathode to anode and anode to cathode. So when we are connected to the external circuit, so the cathode and anode, an electron starts from flows from the anode to the cathode, from the anode to the cathode. So electrons starts to flow from the anode to the cathode and creates an electric current, and it creates an electric current. So simultaneously ions, which is the electrolyte migrate between the electrodes to maintain the charge balance. So these electrons and ion exchanges includes a chemical reaction at both the anode and cathode, resulting in the generation of the electrical energies for powering the external device. So over time, then the chemical reacts becomes depleted, a battery capacity decreases and it needs to charging or replacement. So whenever the anode moves from negative to positive, so the electric current is passing from this, so then this bulb will glows, so then it will represent as it is a charging. So based on this, we are going to represent as the negatively charged ions and the positively charged ions are created in the chemical reaction. So based on this, the working of the battery will work. So already we discussed in the types of batteries, that is the primary and secondary battery. So now we discuss individually the types of primary batteries and the types of the secondary batteries now.